In today's episode, I'm going to give you an overview of the 4 phases of a woman's ovulatory cycle and how you can tap into your unique feminine energy during each phase. Hello everyone, my name is Maddie Miles. I am a clinical herbalist and integrative health practitioner who specializes in women's health. If you're new here to the show, I highly encourage you to subscribe to the show for weekly content to help you boost your health. So we are going to talk all about the ovulatory cycle and how both the physiological and psychological changes that a woman experiences during the 4 phases of her cycle really govern how we think, how we feel, and how we act, and how these changes allow us to tap into 4 different versions of ourselves, which we will refer to as our feminine energy in this episode. Also, I will be using the terminology ovulatory cycle, but please know that this is interchangeable with the phrases and terms menstrual cycle and infradian rhythm. If you haven't heard of infradian rhythm isn't used as much outside of the scientific world as it is the scientific name for the biological rhythm and process of the body that the entire woman's ovulatory cycle is. So I'm going to be saying ovulatory cycle more so in this episode than maybe you've heard before, because ovulation really is the big bang of the cycle. So arguably the most important part of the cycle. So it only makes sense that we refer to the cycle as the ovulatory cycle more so than the menstrual cycle. But again, they're all interchangeable. And our cycles are so powerful, and we have not been taught enough about our cycles as women. From a very, very young age, we are taught we are either on our period and we're bleeding, or we are not on our period. Never once did I ever receive any proper education about how my hormones and how my brain and everything is changing throughout my cycle, throughout these 4 phases that make up our ovulatory cycle, until I went out of my way to go to school and get my own degree and do my own research in order to learn about my body. So we won't get into that topic today, but I'll just say I think it is so incredibly unfair and just terrible that women have to go so far out of our way in order to learn about our own bodies. But anyway, physiologically speaking, we are about 4 different versions of ourselves throughout our cycle, which I believe is so incredibly powerful. And of course, we're always the same person in our core, but because so much is changing, our energy and our desires and our mood and our cravings and our social ability, all of these things are changing throughout our cycle. So to know this information is empowering, and it is exciting, and it is just so, so beautiful. So let's get into it. Let's start off with none other than the first phase of the 4 phases of the cycle, the menstrual phase, also known as the period. During this phase, it is very important that us women prioritize rest and self-care. This is also a time of our cycle for reflection and introspection, and our intuition is incredibly heightened during this phase. So I really recommend tapping into your intuition and seeing where it guides you, and perhaps it guides you into releasing some things that no longer serve you, or growing and evolving things that you really do love and that nourish your mind, your body, and your soul. Additionally, estrogen levels and ATP production. ATP production is our energy. Both of those things are lowered. So we're feeling lower energy. Again, our estrogen is lower. Estrogen is our zesty, feeling sexy, energized, and confident hormone. So these are both lowered. So it only makes sense that this is a time to really just go a lot slower with things. It doesn't mean that you have to stay in your bed all day long and not do anything or not see anyone or not show up for work, but it is a time to invite the slowness and the peacefulness and the calmness that we sometimes neglect at other times of our cycle. So to tap into your feminine energy during your period, it is really important to first prioritize rest and self-care. I have found that putting on a comfortable, beautiful, loose, emphasis on the loose, dress or skirt or big t-shirt feels really, really good and allows me to tap into that flowy feminine during my period, as well as other activities such as herbal baths, sipping on a cup of warm herbal tea, some stretching or yin yoga, nature immersion, journaling, reading, meditation, and most importantly, taking some time every single day to just take a step back from my normal routine, take a step back from being very social or very active or proactive, and just letting myself receive, even if receiving is just receiving my own peace and quiet and alone time. So I often love to just go get cozy, whether it's laying on my bed or on the couch or outside and just reading a book and just giving myself full permission to tune everything out, leave my phone inside, like put my phone away, not commit to anything, and just be present with myself and have some more peace and quiet. So all of these things and more can help you to tap into your feminine energy, the more slow, laid back, peaceful feminine energy and part of yourself during your cycle, during the menstrual phase. Phase number 2 is known as the follicular phase. And during this phase, our estrogen levels are rising, as well as our ATP production, which is our energy, and our metabolic function, and our mood boosting neurochemicals. So we're feeling good, we're feeling happy, excited, energized, we're feeling this fresh new energy, leaving our period, this time of more lowered energy and introspection, to sprouting anew. It's like our internal spring. So it's really like this fresh time of our cycle. And there are so many wonderful ways to tap into your feminine energy by using and making the most of, I should say, this fresh new energy that comes with the follicular phase. The follicular phase is a time where we are feeling more social, more strategic, more confident, and like we can really take charge on things and lead things. And it's also a time where we are more willing, generally speaking, to try new things, whether that's trying a new workout class or trying to go to a new book club or women's group. Trying new things is a really exciting thing to do during this phase of the cycle in particular. That does not mean that you can't try new things all throughout your cycle, but it just feels a lot more easy during the follicular phase. So some things that you may explore when it comes to tapping in to this fresh feminine energy during your follicular phase, maybe trying out a new hairstyle, trying a new haircut, new fashion style, trying a new workout class. Again, going to new and or social related things. So maybe it is going to a book club or going to a pottery class, going to a rock climbing class, like trying things that you have never tried before, or maybe you have tried it before, but you don't do them often, as though they're not like a part of your normal routine. So try new things. Again, you're feeling a lot more energized. Maybe you're out and about more. I just love wearing dresses and rompers and florals and skirts in general. Like those are usually my go-tos and they make up most of my closet. So most phases I am wearing dresses or skirts, and they're usually pretty loose and flowy. I will say, we'll get into the ovulatory phase next, but that's kind of the only phase that I usually like to wear a little bit more tighter things, I've noticed for myself personally. But that being said, follicular phase, throw on a beautiful, comfortable dress that maybe you've never worn before, or it's a new style for you, and be social, try new things. Also, this is a time of our cycle where we are very strategic and navigational. Our brain literally switches to be more strategic and navigational. So what this could mean for you, it could mean trying new things in your business, or preparing perhaps a new idea, a new project for the company, the brand that you work for. It could be planning a trip that is coming up in the next few weeks or coming months. So there's so much that you could do during the follicular phase. Long story short, you are experiencing a lot of new, fresh energy and willingness to try new things. So use that to your advantage. The next phase, the third phase, is the ovulatory phase. And this is a lovely phase that is known for and characterized by peak levels of energy, yes, peak levels of energy during the ovulatory phase, as well as a heightened sense and capability and desire to be social, to go out and put yourself out there, heightened creativity, heightened confidence, and perhaps even sexiness as well, which usually goes hand in hand with that confidence. Women may also feel more creative, outgoing, and magnetic during this time. So these are some really exciting, powerful words that give me chills even just talking about them. So yes, there is so much wonderful, powerful, confident, sexy energy that comes with the ovulatory phase. I highly recommend utilizing this energy to put yourself out there, to come up with a new idea, whether it be for your business or for the business and brand that you work for, going out on a first date, trying a new or high energy date with your current partner that you've been with for some time, trying new things, trying new classes, wearing whatever makes you feel just sexy, because again, this is the time, the stereotypical time of our cycle where we are feeling the most energized and the most confident. Testosterone is at its highest for women during this time of the cycle. So that's where a lot of that confidence comes from too. So, like I said before, I personally have noticed that I like to wear not like super, super tight clothes, because that's never comfortable in my opinion. But I do notice that my dresses go from being like these long flowy dresses to sometimes being like a little bit more shorter, or maybe like has a kind of a corset styled top, so it's a little bit tighter on the top. These are just things that I've noticed for myself personally and how my fashion changes during my ovulatory phase. But outside of just the dates and work and fashion, this is a time to be creating art, whether it's content, if you're a content creator, or again, it's creating just like literal physical art that you hang up in your office or in your home. Just creation. This is a time of creation. On a more biological level, the ovulatory window is an opportunity for creation of human life. Now, if you don't want to get pregnant at this time in your life, that is totally okay. Not all of us want to get pregnant all of the time, and we are fertile and in our reproductive years for many, many years. So not every single cycle is going to be a cycle that we want to get pregnant. So outside of the creation of human life, this time is characterized by all of this wonderful energy and desire to create. So I highly recommend tapping into this part of yourself, into this feminine energy that is excited, energized, and wanting to create, and creating whatever you want to create that will make your mind, your body, and your soul feel happy, satisfied, and nourished. Okay, and lastly, because it is the ovulatory phase, I must mention this. This is a wonderful time to connect with yourself and or with your partner in a very sensual and loving way. So exploring your sensuality, seeing what your desires are, what turns you on, what turns you off. A lot of these things is a lot more clear to see and to understand during this phase of your cycle. So practicing self-love and self-care and self-confidence, and finding what makes you feel excited, what makes you not feel excited, what makes you feel turned on for life and love and all the good that is, and what makes you feel confident and beautiful. This is really a lovely time of the cycle to tap into all of that and to explore your sensuality. The fourth and final phase is the luteal phase. This is commonly the phase that everyone associates with PMS, but if you are taking care of yourself and you are taking your herbal remedies and nourishing yourself with wholesome foods and you're just taking care of yourself, therefore then your hormones will be regulated and firing and metabolizing as they should be, and you should not be experiencing PMS. So if you are experiencing PMS, I have plenty of other episodes and support articles on the Peace Love Hormones websites for you. And I also have herbal tinctures to support you in preventing and supporting you in the moment as well if you're experiencing PMS, but also getting in there to make sure that PMS does not happen in the first place. So the luteal phase is characterized by lower levels of estrogen. There is another little tiny spike of estrogen about halfway through the luteal phase, but really the luteal phase is characterized by progesterone. So with lowered estrogen and increased progesterone levels, we're feeling a little bit less energized. still energized, but a little bit less energized and definitely more relaxed and calm than at other times of our cycle. So it's really cool to get the contrast of like the follicular, which is all this energy ramping up for ovulation, which is this peak time of energy. And then we get into the luteal phase, which is really kind of taking 1 or 2 steps back, calming down a little bit more, partaking in some more like calming, nourishing movements and exercises, connecting with your really close friends and loved ones, getting ready for hibernation, so to say, your internal winter, which is your period, and then the cycle starts all over again. So some ways to support yourself and to tap into your feminine energy during the luteal phase is really by tapping into self-care and again, going a little bit slower. Another thing that I don't hear or read or see is talked about enough about the luteal phase is that on a biological level, let's say we get pregnant and we conceive during our ovulatory window. And during the luteal phase, all of these lovely things are happening and hormones are involved and neurotransmitters and all of these things are involved to get that fertilized egg implanted in the uterine lining and to successfully conceive and to start developing human life. So because of this biological possibility, just saying a possibility, because again, like I said before, not all of us want to conceive, not all of us are at that point in our life, and that's totally okay. I myself do not have any children and I'm not pregnant yet. So because of this biological possibility, there is this need and this desire to connect with our community. So to connect with our family and our loved ones and our close friends. So I like to say like the luteal phase is for resting and relaxing, yes, but also for connecting with our loved ones. So this doesn't have to be, connecting by going out to a concert or doing something that's really high energy. It could be something like hosting a tea party. I love hosting tea parties. I love getting together, all of my close girls, and just nourishing ourselves and calming our nervous systems and regulating our nervous systems together by sipping on some warm herbal tea, eating some very healthy, hormone healthy hors d'oeuvres and snacks, and just talking with one another. I also have noticed that although I love to call my family and check in on my family all the time, I've noticed that during the luteal phase, I am checking in on my family and my friends so much more than I do at any other point of the cycle. So that is also heightened. It's just this time that you may notice yourself doing this as well, but this time to really connect with others, to connect, to build community, to give love to your loved ones. There's also been a couple of studies that have shown that women tend to do things for other people more so during this phase. So whether it's giving gifts or cooking meals, again, it's just building that community. But we need to fill our own cup up metaphorically before we fill up the cups of others. So this is again a time for self-care, for resting, for relaxing, and for connecting with your loved ones. So those are great ways, because I just named a few, but great ways to tap into your feminine energy, to explore this part of you that is taking a step back, taking things a little bit slower, crossing your T's, dotting your I's, so to say, kind of completing projects on the business front, cooking more meals, really nourishing yourself because our caloric needs are a little bit higher during this phase. And so really just nourishing yourself on every single level, nervous system, on a social level as well, nourishing yourself with friends and loved ones, checking in on people, having calm gatherings like a tea party, and then personal self-care such as herbal baths and reading and journaling, going to a calm yin yoga class, or getting a massage or self-massage, foam rolling. There are so many ways to take care of yourself. So the luteal phase is a great time for that. And to tap into that part of yourself, into your feminine energy, that feminine archetype, I would like to say that feminine archetype of going slow and just being a lot more relaxed about things. In conclusion, during the luteal phase, do whatever brings you peace. If you liked this episode and you are perhaps questioning how to track your cycle if you are on hormonal birth control, or perhaps you're curious if you even have this ovulatory cycle while you're on hormonal birth control, I highly recommend listening to my podcast episode with Dr. Sarah Hill. She is a PhD. She does all of her research on hormonal birth control and how it impacts women's health as a whole, especially women's brains. So I definitely recommend going and listening to that episode. I also have so many podcast episodes, YouTube videos, and again, articles on the Peace Love Hormones website for you, all about everything from natural forms of birth control to regulating your hormones and getting your ovulatory cycle back after stopping birth control. So I'm here to be your guide, your source, and your cheerleader on this journey. Thank you all for tuning in to today's episode. I will see you all very soon. And until next time, peace, love, hormones.